Well, hello, and welcome to Wise Wednesday with Melanie Morrison. I'm so excited today because we are talking about what it means to be a star seed. So, first of all, I'd like to say that if you were curious by that title or at all pulled into what is a star seed, my guess would be that you definitely have some connections there. So, I am so excited because today I have Charis Melina Brown. She is an author of 3 wonderful books, and actually another one that you'll have to remind me to share, about being a star seed and traveling through that journey. What I love about her is she is just so incredibly grounded in her work. I actually stumbled across her work in 2012 when I was newly kind of stepping into what I felt was like a reawakening. And it was so wonderful to finally connect with someone who was sharing work that was so grounded and yet still talking about the things that perhaps some people are new to talking about. So I'm going to invite her on to introduce herself and tell a little bit about her work. Here she is. Hello.
Hi, Melanie. So nice to chat with you today.
I'm glad you could make it on. So if you want to just share a little bit about your books and your work and just yourself in general, that'd be wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you. So I am a spirit guide. I assist people in getting in touch with their intuition and with their multidimensional awareness. I had a spiritual awakening when I was in college and thought I was losing my mind. And then all of my hallucinations started to come true. I didn't believe in anything spiritual. So then through lots of synchronicity and years of training, I trained in Reiki, I trained in various shamanic methods, and now I write books, I officiate wedding ceremonies, I kind of travel around hosting workshops and retreats and teaching classes. Now it's almost all online, to assist people in doing this work, because in our current world, there's not a set of temples you can go to or spiritual priest or priestess you can go to. So there are many of us who have this call, because throughout the years, throughout the centuries, there usually is an entire class of people who does this work, who holds the sacred space. But in our current Western world, there aren't very many slots to go in. So generally, people who have this call don't necessarily have a place where they can go. So it's one of my dharmas to help bring back that kind of support, help bring back that kind of guidance and education, so that we can be more in touch with our souls and our spirits, and also our multidimensional awareness. Generally, when multiple dimensional things happen, people just kind of stick it into their subconscious because they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to interpret it and use it. And part of what I do is help people learn that and help people fact check and troubleshoot and see how to understand their connection with the spirit world as well as the physical world.
That's wonderful. And it's so true. I feel like, you can almost feel like somewhat of a crisis energy when that happens, because especially if you don't have anyone to connect with and explain it to you. I feel like in other cultures, this sort of like shamanism, healer, psychic energy, when it came in, there was like a process where we were walked through. So I think that's so wonderful for someone new, because I feel like this awakening is happening a lot now. It almost feels similar to that energy of 2012 to me, anyways. For someone kind of just stepping into that, would you have any like words of advice or special?
Absolutely. Yeah. First off, learn to meditate. Whatever method works for you, whether it be sitting quietly, even 2 minutes is enough. 2 minutes a day is enough. Everybody can afford 2 minutes. Whether it's sitting quietly, whether it's doing guided audio meditations, there are a ton of them on YouTube. I have a bunch on YouTube and on my Instagram. They're very easy to find. You can find them for free. It's not a lot of effort you have to put out, other than the consistent time. Because if you're especially just learning now and just having your awakening now, the difference between imagination and intuition is hard to tell at first. So get your meditation practice normalized in your energy body, so that you can access your deeper awareness and so you can trust it. Second thing is keep a journal, keep an intuition journal. So as time goes on, you can see what is your intuition and what does end up being accurate, and what's your imagination, your hopes, your fears, your desires, your stress or past trauma or whatever. Because especially for people starting in, accuracy is so, so, so important. And time and experience gives you that. There's no fail-safe way to know if you're accurate or not until you've had lots and lots of experiences. Last thing is to study under people you trust the vibe of. There's a lot of spiritual bypass out there. There are a lot of people in the New Age and spiritual realms who may not have the best integrity. Just because you can talk to beings in other dimensions, and just because you see angels and aliens, and just because all this stuff doesn't necessarily mean that you've done your inner work, your shadow work. So when you're deciding who to learn from, really listen to your gut feeling. If somebody doesn't feel right, or if it feels a little off, don't go over there. There are plenty of people you can find one that resonates with you.
I think that there is a lot to that. And then learning, how to discern who it is that is, and feeling that and trusting into that energy. I think that's so important. The integrity of things. I feel like as an angel card reader, I have one of the biggest lessons that I go into for people that want to learn angel card reading is integrity. That just because you can go around reading someone doesn't mean you should jump up and read them and expose their personal things if they're not asking for a reading. I just think that because we're stepping outside the box doesn't mean we're stepping outside our integrity. And just because we're not, like, all of us aren't necessarily, I feel like a lot of us doing this work are more of a bridge so that we can connect to several different religions. And so again, just because we don't fit into a box of, already pre-done religion doesn't mean we shouldn't carry our own good sense of morality and integrity. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that. And there are a lot of people that can really connect and bring in a lot of stuff, but that doesn't guarantee that their heart is in the right place, or that they don't have some gunk that they're carrying that they haven't taken care of. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that. Well, I wanted to kind of do like a little cosmic check-in. I thought that would be fun. And then stay tuned, whoever's on now. I've got a few comments coming in. We have Ariella. Hello. She says, love it. I love Ariella. She's a wonderful, wonderful energy to connect with. So we're going to be doing a couple readings near the end, but I'd like to do kind of a cosmic check-in. I feel some stuff, but I want to hear first from you about what you have kind of felt going on.
Tons of transition. We are the Tower card in our civilization right now. Things are falling down. The wonderful thing about this time is that we don't have to have a very dramatic fire from the sky kind of Armageddon vibe, even though some of the shifts in ourselves and our culture is that magnitude. What's happening this time, and I do think this is a 2012 echo or ripple going out, and also it's the same thing as the Christ consciousness wave across the planet, is that humans on Earth are figuring out an energy that is something that hasn't happened before in the physical realm. That's one of the special things about Earth, is that we're able to have this higher dimensional consciousness in physical, dense 3D bodies, and that's why we're here, to bring it into the bodies. So what I believe is happening is the brainwashing, much of it, the brainwashing and the belief in a big system or a set of systems to take care of us that may not have our best interests at heart just because they weren't necessarily built that way, is falling away right now. And we're able to look around and see, oh, maybe we shouldn't give our power up to whatever random people it may be that we're giving our power up to because we were taught that we were supposed to. Maybe we should figure out what our calling is. Maybe we should step out of the paradigms that we were taught to trust, because right now in this time we're seeing that maybe we can't trust them, so we have to bring our power back and live as sovereign humans. And this can be a really painful process depending on what's going on, or it can be lovely. It's likely both, because that's how awakenings go. It's highs and lows and dark night of the soul and peak of the mountains. So it's important to stay grounded in your spiritual practice, whatever it is, whether you're religious or just spiritual, or whether you combine lots of religions like I think we both do. And respect everyone else's path as well, knowing that not everybody has the same calling, not everybody has the same dharma, and not everybody has the same path to walk, knowing that what you can do is walk yours the best you can in your microcosm, and then create something that spreads out and blesses the world. Not expecting the world to come in and save us, but knowing that if we keep our energy right and attend to the things that are going on and deal with them and show up, then we generate a healing frequency for the world, and to focus there on the sacredness within rather than looking for a place to ground in on the outside.
You explain it so eloquently. It's just so clear and the energy that you put into it. The main thing that I kept seeing when we stepped into this time, and it was so simple, and for me sometimes it's the really simple things that get the message through, but I kept just seeing myself as like a tree, and then almost all of us having this experience, and everything happening really just being a reminder of where our roots don't belong, that being rooted in who we are, the essence of who we are, and our connection with divine, our connection with the higher selves, our groundedness, exactly like you were saying, is that like as we were moving on through this year, we kept getting little nudges of where our energy didn't belong. And so more and more we're pulling it back and then finding a way to anchor it into where it belongs. So as the year went on, I felt like, sometimes you feel bad when you say like everybody's going through this chaos and you're like, this feels good. In that sense, I'm experiencing the same type of struggles everyone else is. But in that sense, I did feel a little bit more of me and more grounded in my energy. And I felt like when I started to kind of veer out somewhere else, I quickly got the reminder of how to anchor back in. So I love how you describe that. So beautiful and so eloquent. So you have so much going on. I think that was a perfect cosmic check-in, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, and actually what you said was so synchronicitous to the full moon ritual that I just happened to do, and also to what's going on with some students that I'm teaching right now. We've been talking about how right now we're taking our consciousness out of trying to direct the flow of life and putting it in to seeing where the energy takes us. Like, okay, well, I have this to-do list and I have these things to do based on the paradigms that I've been raised with, based on, whatever it is that I used to believe and that I'm now stepping out of. And so I think it should go this way, and stepping away from that and into, okay, well, right now, where is the energy flowing? Do I need to rest or do I need to act? Does this feel right or not feel right? And stepping away from the logic and into trusting the energy, because everything's falling and reforming in a way that the energy knows what's going on, not the logic from the systems that are crashing. So yes, absolutely, I agree with everything you just said, and I love the synchronicity there because it's come up every day for the past few days, that concept.
Yeah, no, and I do find myself having to go more with my feelings, and sometimes I'm reluctant because I'm like, well, but I was planning on doing this, and I felt obligated in order to be like a successful person. I'm supposed to follow through. But there are times where I'm really energetically feeling the need to pull back. I felt like that recently, like with the full moon and everything. I really, as before it came, I just felt like a really deep need to go inward and just be. Now that it's expanded, I'm kind of feeling that lift. I think I talked to you a little bit about it earlier. But now when you're feeling things like that, because I know we all go through energetically, especially as being highly sensitive beings. What are your main tools that keep you balanced and connected? And every time I see you, your energy is so vibrant. So you must have a beautiful practice, that maybe some little tidbit that you can give to those people listening. Maybe they feel like they've been trying everything and they kind of need a little bit of goodness, few nuggets to help them through this time. What would you give to them?
Absolutely. There's definitely a tip. And I think part of it's my astrology because I'm a Taurus sun. And part of it's just the way that my energy works. I'm a reflector and obviously an empath, highly sensitive person. Rest. it's so simple, but one of the reasons you just said that when I post this, the energy comes through as being very bright. And one of the reasons is I don't always feel bright, but when I don't feel bright, I don't post because I have a certain integrity with the energy I put out on the internet that I want it to bring healing vibes. So when I don't feel bright, and that's something, again, with stepping out of the conditioning that we've gone through as students and then as corporate and wherever, medical, wherever it is that we've been, is that we're supposed to push through when we're tired. But what I found, easy ways and hard ways over the years, is that if I'm tired, I'm feeling like I'm having to squeeze out content or wisdom or like really reach to find my spirit knowledge and stuff. If I just take a nap or even take a couple of days to go slow and get as much sleep as I need, then the next time that wave comes around, it just fountains out of me and I just feel like doing it and it's great. Versus if I had to like squeeze out something or really dig deep for something, and even the thing that I squeezed out or dug deep for doesn't have the quality. And again, that's something that you just have to trust on faith and try it out and experiment with it. It took me years because in our current culture, sleeping as much as you need to, resting as much as you need to is an act of rebellion. The normal amount of rest that people need in order to thrive is not at all placed in our current culture. We're not lauded for getting enough rest. We're lauded for exhausting ourselves. And especially in different industries. I came through the education industry. Yeah, so yeah, of course, the more exhausted you are, the better you're doing. The more tired you are as a healer, the more proud of yourself you can be in a lot of those paradigms. And so the idea that you should rest as much as you need, that is your sacred purpose, especially if you take seriously things like the body temple and keeping your body temple filled with chi. So when you're low on chi, not ignoring it, not pushing through, not just caffeinating yourself and keeping going, but saying, okay, this is my sacred pet. Is how I see the body, is our pet, our sacred pet that we're in for this whole life. So we're going to take good care of it, actual good care of it, not just run it into the ground and try to last minute ping in whatever we can to keep the house from falling down, but really give it time and energy to thrive. And that, I think, even though it's so simple, just sleep and rest, you would think that it's easy, but that's one of the hardest things that people do, is just slow down and take enough time. And I'm seeing someone in the comment, Ariella, ask, how do I rest? I unplug, I get off the internet for a day or two. I clear my schedule. And it's funny because when you clear your schedule, it's not that you're sitting around the whole time, but things that you put on the back burner, often things that refill your cup, now come up to the front. And you're like, oh yeah, I guess I should finally pick up that hobby that I've been working on, or now I finally have time to read this book that's been sitting on my table for a month, or whatever. But it refills your cup. And so you can feel the difference between if you're expending energy or if you're filling up on energy. And then when you're totally full, you all of a sudden have all this inspiration again and want to start creating. And it's something that does take a little bit of faith in the beginning, because you might think, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Am I just going to sleep forever? But the answer is no. You're going to get inspired again, and you're going to then be perfectly attuned with divine timing to answer whatever call is coming for you and to answer whatever need people are having for you to show up for them.
Oh my gosh, there's so much wisdom in that. And that it's an act of rebellion. What a perfect way to say it. I think for me, I definitely work at honoring those ebb and flows. This year, I have to say, I've needed so much more rest. And I feel like normally I'm really good at honoring it and not beating myself up. But this year particularly, my new opportunity for growth has been not to guilt myself too much when I require a little bit more than usual rest.
Yeah, see it as something that you're doing to take care of your divine container. I mean, and also the world can guilt you, and sometimes people can guilt you. Why are you sleeping so much? I wish I could sleep so much. Yeah, that kind of thing. And that's when one of the things I find, because yeah, resting, especially as a woman, triggers people as having enough rest. And so what I found is you don't have to tell someone why you're not available. You can be like, nope, sorry, I can't have a 2:00 meeting tomorrow. I'm planning on sleeping from 1 to 4. And you don't have to tell them why. No, it's no one's business what you do with your schedule. They don't have to know why you're busy. from those hours, you know? And I think that's one of those things that, especially as women, or just givers, because any gender, but people who are givers sometimes feel like their time and their energy is not their own. And so when they're not giving it to others, they feel guilty. And that's totally normal, but it's not right. And no one is entitled to your chi. And that's something that we need to write in our consciousness as healers if we want to actually be able to heal this place for real.
Yeah, so if you're in comments, if you want to comment, no one is entitled to your chi. Let's go with that. No one is entitled to your chi. I'm going to affirm that. No one is entitled to my chi. I love that. There's a lot of power to it. And I love how you mentioned a couple different things that all really involve a paradigm shift, a change that I feel like has been a long time coming. And it's finally having that extra push to turn over this year. So I know that before we went on, you had pulled a card. I pulled a card as well. So Charis and I talked about how, sometimes before we connect, we like to pull a card. And so I had already pulled a card, and so she did too. So if you want to share that one first, I also want to let you know that let's see if I can find it up here. Melissa said hello, and she loved you.
Oh, I love you too, Melissa.
So thanks for joining us, Melissa. I'm going to just let the audience know really quick, kind of give them the rundown on this. So what I'm going to do is Charis and I are going to pull 4 cards. I think we're going to start with her and then me, and we'll kind of just go back and forth, really just reflecting on what comes up and the energy. The way you can really tune into your own personal intuition is by connecting right now, just taking a moment to connect, knowing that we're going to pull 4 cards. What card you're intuiting is really going to be the message meant for you. What that does is it really empowers you to connect to yourself, and just kind of, as Charis was mentioning, not allowing someone else to tell you, but also, sometimes we need that extra guidance, but it's nice if we can start to really empower ourselves by practicing our own personal intuition. So before we start reading, oh yes, also, and to comment, go ahead and click the StreamYard link. I will go ahead and post that now, an extra one, in case you didn't catch the link beforehand. Otherwise, you might come up as Facebook user. So in order for us to see who's commenting, you just click that link. So also, I wanted to share before we pop on to do our cards, I wanted to share Ariella's comment. She said, right now I feel my energy squeezing out because of school and rest has been hard. Patience being tested, yet that is where the energy is flowing. So yeah, that need to sometimes just push through and honor our energy the best we can, considering our circumstances. Did you have any thoughts or insight for her?
Definitely schedule it. Well, first off, get really serious with your schedule from now till then, and make sure you're scheduling in off time for yourself as much as you can, even if it's just 30 minutes a day of sitting down with a journal and a cup of tea before bed. And then the second thing is, once this stretch is done, because you said you've been in school, so think about when the semester is done. It's December 2nd right now, so you should be done pretty soon. Schedule in off time, a couple days off grid somehow, either go camping or just do a staycation or whatever it is that you need to do to be able to be realistic about whatever your parameters are. And so then you can kind of have that as the light on the horizon to be like, okay, I've got a reward coming, I'm going to push through. And then at the end, you do have legitimate opportunity to refill your cup. It's not just, okay, then into the next marathon. That's the best thing that I would do in that situation. Sometimes you do flirt with burnout a little bit, but when you do, take it seriously and say, okay, maybe I can't take a break this week, but in a couple weeks when the semester's over, I'm going to take 2, 3, 4 days to just get my chi back. And then it's always worth it. It does come out worth it in the end. You do refill in ways that you might not realize you can when you're in the burnout.
Yeah, so I think that's a quite valid question. I feel like that too. I'm a mom and I have my own business, and I'm also an author. I'm working on writing a book. There's just so many different things that I'm also working on, that the world just doesn't stop because my energy is low, sometimes I have to do what I do. So a little add to that. I love your advice, and I love that you can answer so in such a practical way with things that are so helpful. I would like to add, just because I, as a really busy person, I don't always get the full extent to what I need sometimes, but I feel like if I can step outside, if all I have in a very busy day is the ability to step outside and take 3 breaths. Oh my goodness. And this is stepping into, oh my gosh, we are going to pull cards, I promise you. But this is stepping into something else that I think that we wanted to talk about, is just solar charging. So what I do is when I'm having a really just packed full day, that I can't do as much as I want, like make my long walk or long meditation or long bath, whatever it is. I can't extend my my recoup time as long as I would like. What I'll do is I'll still take advantage of those small little moments. So a lot of times I'll go outside. So right now I'm in Arizona, so it's super sunny. So what I'll do is I'll go outside and just feel the sun on my back and just take 3 breaths. 3 breaths. I mean, I know that I will do it because I know I have time to breathe 3 times. So, or little tricks like I will make sure, I know I'm going to sit down and eat at some point. Mm-hmm. So I'll make sure that when I sit down and eat, it's outside, or if it's too cold, near a window where I'm really, because for me, nature, and I feel like for everybody, when I say for me, I feel like for everybody, whether they realize it or not, that kind of regeneration process really helps in nature. So I would love to hear a little bit more. You had mentioned a little bit about solar charging, if you want to add to that.
Love to. And I completely agree about your comment about nature. The thing that we forget, because we've been born in a technological society, is that we didn't evolve in a technological society. We evolved touching the earth, her living flesh, her living plants, her living soil every day. It's what our bodies need as electrical systems. So, and the pace is very different. So when we go out into nature, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just a park or a backyard or whatever, and either sit on the ground or sit under a tree or lean against a tree or put our bare feet or hands on some part of the actual earth, is that our electrical system is made to download all that extra energy into the earth and upload the earth energy into us. We work for her too. We have a unique perspective that electrically is supposed to go into the earth, but since we're usually surrounded by drywall and we have rubber on our feet, it doesn't usually happen. And again, this is stuff that science is just barely starting to acknowledge. Look up earthing and look up the science behind earthing. Medical studies have shown that 20 feet of bare earth on the ground can reduce inflammation in the body by up to 80%. That's huge. And inflammation in the body, it affects us all kinds of ways. It's just whatever your weak link is in your body, it'll get worse if you're inflamed. So that's pure nature, regardless if there's sun or not. But if you're someone who is called to the sun, I started sun gazing 10 years ago. And it's one of the things where when I hear about a new health or biohacking trick, I'll try it usually for about a month. So if it's some type of supplement, I'll get it and take 1 bottle. Or if it's an activity like sun gazing, I'll try it for whatever period of time. And I'll say, okay, if at the end of this time I notice a difference, I'll keep doing it. And if I didn't, then I won't. And I'll just trash it. Because not everything works with every biosystem. But that was 10 years ago. And I'm still sun gazing. And I will be sun gazing the rest of the time I'm in this body. I'm pretty darn sure. And the way it works is you do this when the sun is down at the horizon. So it can be dawn or dusk, doesn't matter which. And you can do research on it. And yes, they do say don't look directly at the sun. Don't look directly at the sun. But when it's so close to the horizon, it's filtered through all the atmosphere between you and the sun. And it is safe for your eyes. And the way you tell is if it hurts to look at it, don't look at it. If it feels good and you feel like you're drinking the energy in with your eyes, do it. You can also close your eyes and look through your eyelids, or you can look around the sun at the sky and get the energy from there if you like. But what you imagine, because the way that sun gazing works is that those photons, those pieces of energy go in through your eyes, back through your optical nerve, through the glands in your head, your pineal gland, your pituitary gland, and your spinal cord. And it provides you with electrical energy, with photonic energy, a similar way that eating food provides you with molecular energy from breaking down the molecules of nutrients in the food. So it's like a car that is combustion is your food system. A car that is electric is your pranic or your photonic system. So I would definitely suggest, if people are curious about this, just set your phone for dawn. Just see what time dawn is in your town. Set your phone for dawn. Wake up a few minutes before dawn. Go outside and find where that thick golden sunlight is. Look at the sun for as long as it feels good. It'll just be a couple seconds, and then go back to bed. And then eventually, after a few days of this, it's likely you won't want to go back to bed because your body will have learned how, because it takes a minute to flip over, just like with diet or anything, because your body will have learned how to process this sun. And not everybody's necessarily cut out for this. Some people are photosensitive and it might not be good for them. So follow what works for you. But I do think this is a practice that helps everybody. Same with moonlight, same with starlight. Imagine that you're drinking it in. Right now, when we're recording this, we just had a full moon. So the moonlight is still very strong. So you can wake up at night and look out and you see that heavy silver moonlight coming down. Use it. Bring it into your body and fold it into your body and let it give you energy too. Like I said, it takes a second to flip over. So give it about a month of trying this kind of thing and then see. And like I said, I will never stop doing it. It works for me. I notice a huge difference when I can do it because I'm in a sunny climate versus if it's a cold weather climate, it's cloudy all the time, that kind of thing. And it's something that I definitely have learned that it works.
I think you had me at, and you can go back to sleep.
Yeah. I'll live for 5 minutes.
I'll try it then. Okay, maybe I'll give it a shot. No, but I can, on the times that I felt the most full of energy and full of life have really been those times that I've gotten up early and saw the sunrise. It does actually make sense. And I love how you say, drink it in, because for me, when I do that, with my son and the sun to my back, I always felt like I was breathing in the sun. And, it somewhat felt silly about that experience, but it's always been so helpful. So I guess no matter how silly it makes you feel, if it actually makes a really good shift in your energy, then I think it's worth it. And I think there's just so much healing that we as adults can do around imagining. I think that imagination is one of the most powerful energetic tools that we can use. So if we can heal some of that energy around just gifting ourselves the how do you say this? The freedom to imagine and feel the beautiful shifts that come from imagining and using that visualization. Because as much as I feel like our society at a certain age says, oh, you can't imagine anymore, the fact is we never stop imagining. We really don't. And in fact, sometimes I feel like that adult world, the imagination suddenly becomes imagining things going wrong. And why not use your imagination to attract what you want in your life rather than the opposite? So I have to say, though, I was loving listening to you about the earthing and really love how you explain all of the pieces. So my son is 7. I'm going to share something personal because it just felt so relevant. And as you were talking, I was just like, I have to share this. So my son is 7. He at school honestly was just really not getting much information online, and he was getting bored. And so I said, okay, cool, let's watch something that you want to learn about. And he got on and he's like, Mom, I want to watch earthing. And I said, okay. And so he watched the whole thing. Now, I was busy that day. I had work. But it was so funny because when I went outside to do that with the sun, he was like, hey, Mom, are you earthing?
Yeah.
So I feel like, even the youngest ones are, especially before they've had a chance to have society tell them what isn't or is relevant, have so much wisdom around connecting and healing and growing.
Yes, kids are amazing at, well, because yeah, they haven't had it ripped out of them yet. So kids are amazing at magic and manifestation. Kids are amazing at healing. And when I teach energy healing, because I'm a Reiki teacher, so when I teach people how to use Reiki, first, it does feel like your imagination. First, it is your imagination. And that's very similar to what your intuition feels like. So you start off imagining and then you look for what actually works. And when it comes to manifestation, magic, healing, whatever it is, my inner gospel is the proof is in the pudding. If it works, do it. If it works and it's clean energy, do it. Nobody needs to know what you're doing. Something that a lot of people ask me is that how they can keep their relationships because they might be afraid of the judgment that comes from embracing their spirituality depending on the culture that they're in. And the thing I always say is this is your private business. No one needs to know what your connection with God is. No one needs to know what your connection with spirit is. You don't have to defend it to anybody. It's no one's business but yours. So if people are curious about this, then just try it. See what works for you and then keep what does and throw out what doesn't.
Well, and I do love how you explain everything and how the science of it works. I think that is really important for a lot of people. Personally, I tend to do things backwards. Like I try it and then I feel into the experience first and then I'll go, oh, that feels good. And then I'll research it and go, oh, well, that's why that feels good. That's why that works.
Yep, same. That's how I learn all this stuff is I'm like, wow, see something in intuition and then go find out that, hey, that's a mythological creature from some other culture that I never heard of that I'm talking to every day or whatever.
Right.
That's how I've learned to trust my intuition these past 17 years is because that's happened enough times that now I know that when I feel a certain feeling, it's accurate because it always is. But again, just experience got me that. So people who are still don't know if you can trust it or not, it's okay. Don't rush yourself. You're exactly where you should be. Just take time and keep that journal to allow yourself to learn what does and doesn't work because you see it work or not work.
Yeah, I definitely feel it's like a layering, there's so many different layers of that growth and process when you first are bursting out of that shell. And you really, I feel like it's a kind of going back to yourself, really, if anything, becoming who you really are. I feel like when it first happens, people will talk about, oh, well, you've changed so much. Well, have I? Or have I just stopped being who I'm not?
Mm-hmm.
So definitely feel that. So I'm so excited. I'm sure we have people on the edge of their seats waiting for us to draw cards.
Okay.
So, but it's so sweet. So Ariel says, Melanie, you and I've talked about this, how fortuitous. Yes. I mean, these are just wonderful conversations. I could go on forever with this stuff because it's so valuable and just high vibe. And it's such great information to share. I think, we talked about a couple different like paradigm shifts, one of them being like connecting with your own personal power, shifting from, depleting yourself to giving from a full cup. And then, I lost my train of thought. And then this last one being what? Let's see. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by the comments.
It's okay.
So this last one being just another example of a paradigm shift. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go ahead and step off and let you go ahead and pull the card. We have comments. So just whoever's tapping in now, just connect with the 1, 2, 3, or 4. I'm going to go ahead and put that banner up to remind you if they're popping in late. And you can comment, or you can just think to yourself, or if you're catching the replay, just use it as an example of how you can practice your intuitive work on your own.
Great. So the first card that we've pulled is from the Magic of Flowers Oracle deck. I love this deck. It's so gentle and powerful. And the card is the Dandelion card. And it's all about making wishes. It has a little boy blowing a dandelion here, and you can see the streams of energy coming off. And this card is all about remembering to make wishes and remembering to consciously manifest. Kind of like Melanie was saying before, we think about what we don't want. So let's try to spend as much, preferably more time and energy thinking about what we do want, because that does have an effect in the universe. And it's also important to remember that just like making your intention and trying to manifest and focusing your energy is an important part of manifestation, so is trusting and releasing. It's supposed to be a two-step process. You send out your energy, you see what the universe gives you. You analyze it. You send out your energy, you see what the universe gives you. You refine, and then you construct, and then move on and on and on. And so, yes, while we do all have the opportunity and the responsibility, I think, as lucid humans to manifest, also, it's important to remember that we're not in a vacuum. We do live in a world that a lot of stuff is going on in right now. So these urges we get are likely ways that we are supposed to assist with what's happening. And it might be out of the box. It might be different than what you thought or expected, but trust it and keep coming back to yourself and keep deciding what you want as you get these opportunities for refinement as we go. And spend time each day thinking about what you want and imagining that it's true, and then putting yourself in that situation and make that a habit, because it's not that every single thing ever will come true, but a lot of them will, and it's worth the time to do.
So for number one, that was your message. I really don't have anything to add to that. I think that that was said quite beautifully. So, and that's the first card that you had pulled prior to us going on. So that's cool. That's so interesting. So the card that I pulled is from, I kind of stick with my old decks. They don't even make this one anymore, but I really like it. It's the Goddess Guidance card deck. And I pulled this, and it's so funny because I've been pulling it a lot. And it says, stop worrying. Everything is going to be fine. When I see that card, I just almost feel like a motherly message that's saying it's going to be fine. And that, a voice that you trust, and you know that when they say, stop worrying, everything's going to be fine, that it's true. And that if you live in that space, it will continue to be true for you. So I feel like with Lakshmi, she's just a beautiful goddess. I like to personally, kind of as I'm learning my intuition, really look, or if I'm teaching about intuition, really look at the picture and say, what do you see? So for those who are listening for card number 2, what really are you drawn to? Are you drawn to a particular color, a particular image? Honestly, I've been seeing elephants for a really long time. I love elephants. And so I immediately for me, it's an added layer, because I saw elephants like before I gave birth to my son. So to me, it tells me that while a lot is changing, I know that I am really birthing a new reality now. So of course, as we're gestating, it might be a slow growth. It might be, things get sticky and sometimes feel dark, but it is what it is. It is a birthing of a completely new experience. So I feel like that is definitely the message for card number 2.
Oh my gosh, Melanie, as you're talking, I'm snickering over here because there are so many synchronicities with what you're saying. I just have to say, before we got on, I pulled my personal cards for the day, and they were birthing a new world, which is just what you just said twice. And the second one was the Knight of Pentacles, which is all about slow and steady growth, which you also just said. So I just had to throw that in because I'm over here like, ha, 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 as you're talking. I love it when that happens.
Well, did you have any extra reflections on that particular card?
Well, yeah, Lakshmi is one of my favorite goddesses of all time. I mean, she's so empowered. She is in charge of all of her own streams of energy that she oversees. And she's also in a healthy, happy, beautiful marriage with Vishnu, a god in the Hindu tradition who's also on his stuff. So I really think it's very inspiring, because here in the Western world, we don't have that many examples mythologically or culturally of healthy relationships that continue to be healthy over time. So I see Lakshmi as a great role model for that, and also for being an empowered female, an empowered mother. Ganesha is her son, I believe, or yeah, I is it Lakshmi's son? I'm not sure. I'm not really super into Hindu, all of the mythology, but I know that they're pictured together a lot, Lakshmi and Ganesh, who is the elephant-headed god, which also means abundance, getting you through obstacles, assisting you when things are hard, dancing your way through life. So, because when Ganesh dances, that's how he does his fighting. When he's fighting and kind of deflecting and attacking and whatever he needs to do, it looks like this whirling dance is some of the mythology around him. So I just love that card. I love that it came up. And yeah, she's one of my all-time favorite goddesses.
Yeah, and then when you said dancing, I remember Lakshmi, now that you're mentioning it, for yoga dance. I'll actually have it right here. There was one of the big shifting, ready for something new, transformation. Actually, that's Lord Ganesh. But but either way, I thought of that also as we're birthing this reality, understanding that we are doing that dance, that consistent, constant dance between sort of ego and spirituality, and just honoring that and knowing that we're not going to be saints just because we're trying to do, like, we're not going to opt out of the human experience. Mm-hmm. So just knowing that it is quite a dance, and that we can do this dance, and things will be abundant. So I feel like it's extra reassurance for card number 2. So I'm going to let you draw card number 3.
Okay, I drew when we were chatting earlier, and I actually drew 2, but they feel like 1, so I'm just going to say both of them. First, and this is from the Lenormand deck. It's the Gilded Reverie Lenormand deck. And what Lenormand, the system of Lenormand, is like tarot. It's its own particular system that's been used for a while now. And tarot talks about the energies behind things and the energetic reflection to the physical world. Lenormand talks about the physical world. So this is what's going on in the physical world. For instance, if you were talking to chess players, tarot would be the way that they are strategizing their game and their plans. Lenormand would be, where are the pieces on the game board right now? So the cards are, the first one is the anchor card, and this is get grounded in what's correct for you to get grounded in, what you can trust. There are also a couple fish on the card, which in Lenormand represents abundance and prosperity, which is really nice. And then I was wondering what to anchor into. What should we anchor into, especially now as everything's shifting? And the second card was the heart. Anchor into the heart. And I know swans are a big symbol for a lot of people, myself included, because of the way they move, because of the whole ugly duckling story, and the way that swans are so graceful and so arresting. So it's set your anchor in your heart, in your own personal heart. And also, because there are 2 swans here, I feel like this also means, and in the community that you trust, and in people that you know you can lean on and that can lean on you. Don't try to do it all your own, but do follow your own heart as you're grounding, even when you are working with others.
All very good advice, and seems to resonate quite well with what we've discussed today. So that's very synchronistic. So Charis wants you, or Ariella wanted you to share the name of the deck.
It's the Gilded Reverie Lenormand by Sierra Marchetti. Gilded Reverie.
That's really cool. And I've never heard about that, but that makes complete sense, because I often describe when I'm doing readings for people that how tarot is like, it's the kind of the underneath the tip of the iceberg. And you're saying, let's look at the tip and see what's going on.
It's nice to look at the physical world too. Yeah.
Reality, instead of diving so deep into and then maybe we can dive a little bit deeper. Mm-hmm. So I actually did also pull 2 cards. It just happened they had to be stuck together. I was pulling them while you were sharing yours. So I'll go ahead and share. This deck is the You Are Clairvoyant. And this was kind of like a little deck that I found in a store, a little kind of hole in the wall store in Colorado. And I don't know that it's all that, big and popular, but I feel like sometimes those are the neatest ones. So I did pull 2 cards I thought were quite interesting, so they must go together. So I pulled a choice card. So for card number 4, if you're really feeling like you're at a crossroads or trying to make a choice right now, this is kind of the answer to that. It seems to flow. It feels like that's why they came together. And just movement. It says music and movement, any type of movement. So if you're feeling stuck about making a choice, just start moving your energy in some way. So if it's a position that you're applying, that you're not sure about a job, start throwing out your energy into seeing what jobs there are. If it's literally just an energetic feeling, music and dance and movement, those are such valuable things to just shift your energy. Just like, if you were to take a shower when you're studying, study, you might keep hitting that wall. Go take a shower and suddenly your energy shifts. So this is really, if you're really just feel like you keep going against a wall with the decision that you're trying to make, your first step is movement. And I feel like the big message here is you see how she's going. If we just sit there and do nothing and don't move forward, that's kind of a lack of movement. And then that's also a choice too. So I would say, as we take those steps forward and trust that even if we're not led directly where we think that we're supposed to be, just the movement of going forward will naturally take us to where we're meant to be in our choice. So that's for card number 4. Charis, I'll bring you on. And just before we go, I would like to just connect hello. So Ariella says, love that, really resonates. Molly, hi, thanks for joining us. Love that quote. I stopped being who I'm not. Yes, definitely. So wrapping up here, could you tell us, for those who've really connected with you, for those who do feel like that energy, that starseed energy is really calling them, could you tell us a little bit about how they can connect with you and what programs you might have going on?
Sure. Yeah. Well, you can connect with me on my website, which is charismelina.com. Also, the online social media platform I'm most present on is Instagram. And my username over there is Charis Melina. I'm also on Facebook and YouTube. But you can get all of those if you go to my website. You can get the YouTube links. And if you go to Instagram, that's where to have the most consistently updated content. And the things I have coming up are, in the spring, I'm teaching 2 classes. One of them is Meeting the Fairies, which is all about getting connected with the realm of the elementals, which I believe all humans should be, and all humans actually are. It's one of those things we've turned down because our culture doesn't know where to put it. The other class is going to be a 3-month deep diving journey into working with the moon cycles to upgrade our magic, to upgrade our abilities to manifest, to clear, to live a more sacredly driven life, which ideally helps feed the rest of areas of our life. So yeah, that's the best way to find me. Also, there's a Starseed trilogy that I wrote, which is on Amazon. Journal of a Starseed, Instruction of a Starseed, and then the third one, my favorite, is Starseed Wilding. And there's also the Pulse Holiday Cleanse, which is a Kindle book available on Amazon, and it's great to read in January because it has a bunch of very easy and delicious but realigning physically recipes and exercise routines to get your body back together after you do the holiday thing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you mentioned the cleanse because I have used that so many times and I really enjoy your work. So thank you so much for joining us here today. For everyone that popped on to say hello, thanks again, and wishing everyone a beautiful rest of their day. Mwah. Vibe up and shine on. Have a great day. Goodbye.